Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I like to discuss the latest on Kemi Badenoch's entanglements with the post office scandal as she tries to sling mud at the author of suggestions her department tried to slow down compensation payments, only to be given a faceful back. A cross-party committee of MPs is now taking evidence and is making an order of documents which could drop Badenoch right in it if she has had any direct involvement in this skullduggery herself. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So I discussed the allegations against Kemi Badenoch's Department for Trade and Business concerning the post office scandal yesterday, and it's really blown up since. Badenoch has fired back by publishing a letter she claims, or her department has published a letter, claiming that it proves that she didn't want compensation payments stalled, and said that the outgoing post office chair was sacked in connection with the bullying investigation. The former chair, Henry Staunton, has said that he emailed round a file record of how he was told to stall compensation. So now the Parliamentary Committee for Trade and Business wants Staunton to give evidence to them, of course, but they are also demanding proof from Badenoch that Staunton was being investigated for bullying, and for good measure, they want the documents that Staunton says are on the post office's IT servers. So Badenoch's going to find herself with a lot of unwanted attention right now. But as she has ambitions to lead her party and, of course, the government as well, she may as well get used to unwanted attention. Because consider that Badenoch is particularly vulnerable due to her very obvious leadership ambitions. She has numerous rivals to replace Sunak, whether before or more likely after the election. Rivals who will not at all mind helping to publicise any damaging revelations about her. If you've got ambitions in politics, you need to go in with the knowledge that you are going to create a lot of enemies. I'm not sure that Badenoch's ego can take it, because I actually think she copes with challenge less well than Johnson or Sunak, and they're pretty bad. It's really easy to push their buttons. I refer to cases where the Speaker of the House has often had to admonish either Boris Johnson or Rishi Sunak, and they've tended to go, oh, sorry about that. Carry on doing what they're doing. They pay no attention to him, but they at least go, oh, sorry about that, didn't mean to. Badenoch, on one memorable occasion, actually stood up and had an argument with the Speaker, who was not best pleased. She's just incapable of ever accepting correction. She's not even capable of the fake apology. You know, like the little kid when they're in trouble. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. She can't even do that. This is going to bite her on the arse if she ever does find herself really in the spotlight. But anyway, what's going on now? Well, let's look at the allegedly stalled payments first, because that's like the biggest one. The claim from Staunton was that he was told to stall compensation claims in order that the government can, in his words, limp to the election. In fact, I think that might have been the words used to him, or so he is claiming. In other words, the department did not want to make these massive payouts this side of the election. You know, the focus on the election makes this a political move, of course, which means it must have come directly or indirectly from a ministerial instruction within the department. The department fired back by publishing a letter from them to Staunton, who, on being appointed chair of the post office, with what they say is proof that they wanted compensation payments prioritised. Only the letter does not say that. It does have reaching settlements as a third priority, but the top priority is to manage legal costs to ensure medium-term viability. Now, when do you ever hear about medium-term viability of anything? Surely the job of an executive is to manage long-term viability of their organisation. So the medium-term reference suggests that the department is only concerned with viability until the election, just as Staunton has claimed. And as that top priority is about managing legal costs, which is related to the Horizon scandal, then the letter actually backs up what Staunton is saying. Staunton also says that when he was told explicitly to stall the compensation, verbally, which was not, of course, in the letter, they're not going to write that down, he wrote a file note, or produced a file note, and emailed it to himself and colleagues. He said it would be on the IT servers. So now the Business and Trade Committee want to see those notes. Now, the chair of the committee, Labour's Liam Byrne, has suggested the possibility, well, he said it's possible, of course, that a senior civil servant may have made these demands of Staunton without Badenoch's knowledge, because sometimes civil servants will act unilaterally. And of course, Staunton is not claiming that Badenoch herself told him to stall compensation, but a senior civil servant. But I will point a couple of things out. The first, as I've already said, this issue of medium-term viability. Only politicians are concerned with the medium term because they work in election cycles. Civil servants need a more long-term approach. If a senior civil servant has expressed the need to focus on the medium term for something like this, it suggests an instruction, implied or explicit, from their minister. Of what use is it to a civil servant to save their budget this year only to see it destroyed next year? The second is that Badenoch has nailed her colours to the mast here. If she were genuinely unaware of the allegations, then when they were made, she'd have actually been surprised. She'd have been shocked and she thought, oh, I need to check some things out here. I think her response was far too quick for someone taken by surprise. In defence of her department, Badenoch said there is no evidence that Staunton's allegations are true and that it is for him to prove them. But she made that statement incredibly quickly, far too quickly to have checked his claims, for example. Because what would happen if the government, I mean, the Parliamentary Select Committee for Trade and Business are going to be contacting the Post Office for these records. The government could have done the same thing. It would have taken a few days to get them. What's happening here is, at best, a potentially innocent Badenoch, if we assume that she genuinely is innocent, is behaving naively in trusting officials who might be lying to her. Because there's been a lot of that with the Post Office scandal. You'd think ministers would be a little bit wary, wouldn't you? If any actual proof of even one of the allegations now surfaces, Badenoch is really in trouble. So much so, she may be able to kiss goodbye to her brief frontline political career for a bit. She may have to go to the wilderness for a few years. Badenoch also said it would not benefit the department to delay payments. Well, it wouldn't benefit the department, sure, but it would benefit the political leadership of that department. The compensation will ruin the department's budget. We're talking huge amounts of money here. Now, if they'd prioritised compensation payments, the Tories would be heading into the election with a very battered balance sheet for the Department of Business and Trade. That is not good for a government trying to argue fiscal responsibility, and it is not good for a leadership hopeful who is running that department. But if you delay the payments until after the election, then if you win, you then get to destroy the budget, but then you've got a few years to build it back up for the following election. And if you lose, well, it's Labour's problem. So the idea that there would be no benefit in delaying is idiotic. There was immense political motivation to delay. But then there's the bullying allegation. Badenoch claims that Staunton was under investigation for bullying at the time of his dismissal. Now, that's an odd thing to say, because if bullying is part of the reason for his dismissal, shouldn't the investigation have concluded first? To say it was still going on when he was dismissed is like, well, if it had anything to do with it, then you're basically not basing it on, why didn't the investigation finish? And if the dismissal had nothing to do with an incomplete bullying investigation, why mention it unless you're just trying to sling mud? But the committee have also asked Badenoch to back up those claims as well. And if she's unable to do so, she's going to make herself look evasive and dishonest. And remember, the public are aware of this scandal now, so might take particular interest in further developments in the news. Badenoch is in a little bit of jeopardy here, and ramping up the interest is not helping herself. Of course, the party machine and much of the media will seek to protect her, but she'll also have enemies who would like to see her fall from grace. She needs to be very careful, but I don't think she's got the temperament or the political experience to navigate herself through this one. This is worth keeping an eye on. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.